everyone, this is Sandra. Welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry I'm looking a little like, I don't know, my skin looks not hydrated even though I just did. I don't know, we had a weekend traveling, so maybe that could be why, and I didn't have all of my stuff, my skincare routine that I normally do at home, so that might be why. But anyway, we're just going to focus on makeup today because I'm going to do another eyeshadow tutorial with the Morphe Jeffree Star palette and just kind of play with makeup and have fun. So now, I'm not really sure if I'm going to start doing this going forward, but I think sometimes I like doing just the eye look, so I'll have my makeup, my face makeup already done before I start, and then sometimes I just like doing the whole shebang, but I'll either fast forward through the boring parts, or I'll just kind of like do it off camera and then kind of tell you what products I'm using. Sometimes I think that's cool. Let me know what you guys like, because depending on whether you love eyeshadow or blush or how to contour or whatever it is. So let me know in the comments and we'll go from there. So I'm going to start with my Becca Skin Love Brighten and Blur Primer. I love this stuff. This is my sample. It smells so good and it has like a kind of a skin tone to it, even though you can't really tell on camera because it's so light, but it's definitely full of silicone. Or I don't really want to say full of silicone. It doesn't really have that feel that the original Smashbox primer does, but I think I can still feel a little bit. But it's just really, really nice. I'm really liking this stuff, and it does still help your makeup last. I've noticed like a huge difference in that. Okay. So I'm going to use my Sigma Round Kabuki F82 to apply my foundation today. I've really been liking the brush application lately for some reason. And I'm going to use my Tarte Foundcealer in the shade 35G Medium Golden. So normally I use the back of my hand to apply it, but I just popped it right on the brush. I'm just going to dot it around my face. And then if I need more, we will kind of just put like half a pump. I try to stay away again from my forehead area to put lots of product on it because it just doesn't handle lots of product very well. So we are going to blend this out and we will be back with the concealer. Okay, so I'm all blended out here, and this foundation obviously isn't full coverage, but it kind of gives what I'm looking for, so you can still see underlying spots showing through, and that's kind of what I like about it because I still want to look natural and a little bit radiant. This almost looks like my skin, but better, if that makes sense. It's not like really glowy and shiny, but also it's not matte, which is good because I do have dry skin to begin with. And as we're kind of going into the cooler months, I really like the look of a matte foundation, I guess, but I don't like the feel of it because it just keeps my skin really dry. So the tricks that I do is I moisturize my skin like crazy. I use a really good moisturizing primer. Sometimes I double prime, where I use a silicone primer on my problem areas and then moisturizing primer everywhere else. I use like a radiant finish foundation, but then if I want, if I want some areas of my face to be set better, I'll just use a matte powder. And then I guess another trick too is that you can buy setting mists that don't have that radiant glow. I know that's kind of the thing that everybody's into right now, is that radiant look, but I really, when I think of fall, I don't think of radiance. I think of more matte skin with like really dark jewel colors on the eyes. So I don't know, maybe that's just me. I don't know what the trend is right now because I really want to start watching more fellow YouTubers and to see what kind of things other people are loving at the moment. So we're going to do that eventually. So for concealer, I'm using my Too Faced Born This Way Naturally Radiant Concealer. This is the shade Light Medium. And I'm just going to put it under the darkest area of my eye here. I might have to put a little bit more on once I blend it out because my Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge really blends out and shears out a little bit. So I'm going to do a little bit, like a very slight contour today as well. So again, I just highlight the middle points of my face here. The middle of my face. Here's my sponge. It looks dirty. It's probably time to switch it out for a new one. I just wash it basically every day. every second day, depends. So again, like my usual thing that I like to do is I bring up some of the concealer on my lid to prime for shadow. I don't really use a dedicated kind of eyeshadow base. I usually just use the concealer I use under my eye that day. But if I was to use a dedicated eyeshadow base, I would just use my MAC Pro Longwear paint pot, which is really good for that. So I think that looks good. I don't really want to over product today. I'm going to use my Essence Brighten Up powder in this little compact, and I'm just going to put my sponge right inside, just like that, and set my under eye. I'm not really baking because, again, baking, I feel like for my skin it just makes it feel more dry. But the thing that I am going to do to give my skin more radiance, because we're not doing a fall look today at all, like it's not a fall look. What I like to do is just use my Too Faced Do You Fresh Glow Translucent Setting Powder in the shade Translucent Radiant Nude. So, well, there we go. This has quite a bit of sparkle to it, so I usually say that I never set my face with this because I don't like it. I like it, but more like I was going to use my Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder just to give like specific areas of my face a little bit of glow. But today we're actually just going to put it everywhere because we can, and because I really want just a little bit of that radiance, but not. Lately I haven't really been enjoying the fact that my skin, because it is summer, my skin actually has felt a little bit more oily than normal. And after a couple hours of wearing my foundation, I do notice that, not that it comes off as much, I don't want to say that, it gets greasy. Like I can put my finger on my face and hold my finger up and it looks like I'm a grease ball. Like I don't get it because I have really dry skin. But I mean, and honestly it hasn't even been warm. It's been in the mid-20s, so for me that's a little cool. It's on the cool side right now. So when you look at my face, it looks glowy, but it doesn't look shiny, which I like. And I think that's why I like this powder. So if I was going to reach for, I guess kind of like a luminous product, because I do have the Charlotte Tilbury the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, but that's really more for if you don't even use a foundation. It's nice just to give a little bit of glow. But when I'm looking for a medium to full coverage look, I prefer using the powder because it keeps my face feeling dry and comfortable, but still gives you a radiant finish, if that makes sense. Okay, so we're done powdering. So next I'm going to move on to eyebrows because I like having my eyebrows done, like kind of the face framing thing done before I work on any other areas of my face. So I'm probably going to use, actually, you know what we're going to do today? I used this once before and it was okay. I didn't love it. This is the Benefit Goof-Proof Brow Pencil in number 3, whatever that must be the shade. And then on top I'll put my Maybelline Brow Precise Fiber Volumizer in Soft Brown. Normally I use my Anastasia. They're my favorite, but I'm running out, so I need a new one. And I'm just going to use what I have for now, so you'll see various different products as we go through the week. So we will be right back. Eyebrows are all done. I'm not sure if I got them looking like identical twins, but you know what? That's life. That's being human, right? Okay, so next I'm going to do a little bit of contouring and maybe a little bit of bronzing or just kind of warming up the face. Basically contour without being too precise about anything. I'm going to use my Tarte Park Ave Princess Chisel palette. This is like my favorite chisel palette. I think I talked about this a lot when I first got it and my first one broke. So I do have my Cocoa Contour by Too Faced, and then I also have my Tarte Pro Glow palette, which I also really love because that one has a cream contour. But this is my first fave. I think I also have the Kat Von D, and that one isn't my favorite as much because it sounds terrible. It doesn't smell good. Like it stinks. Like it doesn't even have like not a scent. It smells like mica, or it smells like, I don't know, it smells like gross products, and I just tend not to reach for it as much. But the shades are nice in there because they're more of an ashy tone, but this one is definitely more of a warmer tone, so it goes well on my kind of golden olive undertone skin. So I just have to take a smell because this stuff smells delicious. So I'm going to go in with Princess Cut, which is this medium, more of an ashy tone compared to the others. I am using my Sigma Large Angled Contour F40. So even though I'm not going to be precise or as precise, I still like to contour my cheekbones a little bit because it just really does give your face some shape. And for someone who doesn't have like a definitive line, like if you're looking at your face and you're like, okay, I have no idea where I would even start to contour, I always say kind of suck in your cheeks and like wherever the natural shade or shadow on your face is, that's where you would contour. But you really have to work with your face because you want to get a happy medium. You don't want to bring your face down, but you also, the whole point is to lift your cheekbones up to make them appear higher. And usually for summer, I always prefer just like an all over bronze, but for date night, I usually go for the contoured look. And I always warm up my temples and the perimeter of my forehead because it does balance the rest of your face. For some reason, I can still smell that Becca Skin Love Primer. It just smells like fresh cucumber watermelon or something. And also the Too Faced powder as well. That one smells kind of the same way. So that could be why. So for myself, I kind of give my face like this little U shape here, or half of a C shape. I don't know how you'd say it. I'm going to just put a little bit of color on my nose. Again, mostly just to balance the face. I really like using a smaller brush for this step. This is my brush. I think it's the P82 Precision Round Brush. I prefer to use this to put concealer on my eyelids, but sometimes I use it also to contour my nose because it's a bit smaller, and then also just a little bit under the lip here. And then I'm not really going to add any more product on my brush. I'm just going to outline the jaw a little bit. It's really, really simple, and it doesn't really look like a huge contour, but I've added a little bit of warmth to my face. So I'm going to go in with my F10 powder blush brush and use my Tarte Life of the Party Pretty Clutch palette. I just like to put the brush in all three of these shades here. This is more like a bronze color, and this is like the blush that I would normally use, but I just like to mix them because I feel like that gives it the most natural appearance. I always tap my brush off, give a little smile, and then lightly dust the apples of my cheeks and blend up into my contour. I always add a little bit to my chin. Sometimes I add it to my nose, but generally only when I'm bronzing my entire face. Basically just stamping the product in and not really like blending. Back when I was young, I always wondered why my mom's blush brush was like a huge tangled mess, and I think she did this, but I don't think she ever cleaned her makeup brushes. And like, obviously, like the cleaners that you can use nowadays, they have conditioners in them to take care of your bristles, so that's important. Always clean your brushes. That's where most of the breakouts come from, is dirty brushes. Okay, we need some highlighter, you guys. Okay, I have no idea what I'm going to use for the eyes yet. I haven't really decided. I'm going to use the gold highlighter. I never use this one. I usually always reach for the champagne shade. We're going to use the gold. I'm going to go back to my tried and true, my Soft Blend Concealer Brush, F64. I use the concealer brush for highlight. Going into the gold, just dabbing it on the brush, and just slightly putting it on the apples of my cheeks. I got the camera and I did my pencil line on my inner water rim on the upper and lower lash lines. And I did use this Hard Candy Stroke of Gorgeous Soft Glide Longwear Eyeliner in the shade Shimmer Don't Whine. And I've said this before, but I'm really a huge fan of eyeliner that is not black, except for the upper line where I use a black liquid a black liquid liner on my upper lash line just to make my eyelashes look much thicker and darker and fuller. But when it comes to the waterline, or even the lower lash line, if I'm doing like a blown out lower lash, I always prefer colors aren't black because black really closes in your eye, makes everything look darker. And this is a wine color, but it kind of is almost, it could go either way. It could be purple, it could be burgundy. And I love jewel colors on the eyes for fall. So in terms of colors, I know dark green works really, really well. Burgundy, brown shades, coppers, even gold if you can find a dark gold, but basically it's like a bronze or a copper. Trying to think what other colors. Even teal, like I know they're more of like a summer color, but I do have these two colors here, so like this teal and this blue. This blue is the same, it's a Stroke of Gorgeous, like $4, you can't go wrong. And this teal one is the Maybelline New York Color Show kohl eyeliner, and it's it says 210, but it doesn't actually have the shade. I think it's just like aqua. I don't know. But I mean, any shades like that work really well. Even if you can find like a red shade, if you were doing like a red eyeshadow look, that looks really cool too. So next for eyeshadow, now that I've got this purple liner on, I'm not really sure if I was going to do what I originally was going to do, but I'm going to just go ahead because I really want to just play with makeup right now. I'm going to take my Tapered Blending E40 by Sigma, of course, and I'm going to start with Mr. Diva. So this is a darker transition color, but we're going to start with this shade, and if I need to maybe blend it out up here, like kind of closer to my eyebrow, we can with a lighter transition shade. Wow, I really do not know what I'm going to say today. So I'm bringing this up a little higher because I really want this to be my transition color. I'm going to blend it out really well. And this brush, it really lays down color well, but it also blends out really nice because it is a fluffy brush. And it's either this one or my E35, which has natural bristles. I love to start within the crease. And normally I don't love to go too dark too fast. I'm not that daring, I guess. But this is going to transition into a really cool eye look, so you guys will see shortly. I'm just packing on the color here and then blending. I'm just also going to have my little powder sweet brush on hand just to wipe away any fallout if there is any. Okay, so that is perfect. I don't even feel like I need to lighten up here. I mean, you could if you wanted to. I would just take another fluffy brush, a clean one. This is just a different one. And I'd probably go into the shade 1985, which is just more of like a skin tone color for me. And if you wanted anything else lighter, there's always the shade Lynn in this palette. So you could just kind of clean up here and just make sure that the shade is completely blended in and there is no like a significant line that you can visibly see. There we go. Okay, so next, I definitely want like a sparkly lid, but I also want like a warm crease. So now I'm going to go into the shade Calabasas. I know I used this shade before, but it just, again, it's like that fall feeling. I feel it right now. Okay, this brush looks like, I don't know if I've actually cleaned. No, I didn't clean that one. So, I guess we're going to use this one. So this is an E25 blending by Sigma. I'm going into the shade Calabasas, so I'm going to put it on dry, of course. It is a matte shade. I'm just going to tap off my brush, and I'm bringing this into the upper crease, the upper outer crease. And right now I'm actually just packing on the color. Upper crease, and I am blending it down onto my lower lash line here. Or not lower lash line, sorry, but like close to my lashes on the upper lid. And I'm just packing it on. And we can go in and blend after with the previous brush. That already looks gorgeous. I think you could get away with just that if you had a little bit of blending on the outer corners. I'm just going to continue packing on color here, just to deepen up that area. And that's probably the color I'm going to stick with in the lower lash line as well. I think I'm bringing it up a little higher than I thought I originally would, but it's just really, really cool. I'm going to take that clean brush that I was using and just use it to blend out the edges of that shade. And I noticed it took off a little bit on this corner, so I'm just going to go back in with the same brush and pack it on. I don't want to go too dark because today is just doing some errands and going to the grocery store, so I think I'm going to leave it like that. So now with my E32 Exact Blend brush, I'm going to take the shade Don't Know Her, which is this shade right here, this pink kind of mauve sparkly shade. I haven't used this one yet, so I'm a little excited. Tap off the brush, and I'm just going to pack it all over the lid. I almost feel like I'm putting this on the lid, and now I feel like the crease shade with Calabasas is kind of just disappearing, and I'm losing that color that I really, really wanted on there. And this sparkly shade is going on really nice, but it just looks a little bit lighter than I wanted it, so we might have to go in and darken it up. The shade definitely looks lighter on the eye than it does in the pan, and I am experiencing a little bit of fallout with that shade. So we are going to go back in now with E25. I need to deepen it up a bit, and I'm reluctant to use black, but I think that's the only shade that's really going to work here. So I'm going to take a little tiny bit of this shade Fast Lane, just like the teeniest, and deepen up this outer corner. I can, oh yeah, so you can already tell, like I used just the teeny tiniest bit because black scares me. I try to stay away from it. I will pop it on, and then we will keep adding some more Calabasas just to blend it out a little bit, I think. So I'm going to go back into Calabasas, tap off the brush, and just pack it over top the black and just see how that blends out. I think actually that worked better. I think that looks really, really pretty. So I'm just going to give it a gentle blend right here because I don't want it to go too high up on me. Yeah, that looks gorgeous. So now, inner corner, I'm going to put on some of the shade Welcome, which is like that bright white. And I always use my smudge brush, the E21 by Sigma. But before we go ahead and do that, I'm just trying to find my cream color brush. I have no idea where it is. Okay, found it. So this is a synthetic brush. It's meant for cream color, but I also like to use this to pack on sparkly shades on the lid or the inner corner. And this is the E58. So I'm going into the shade Dog Mom, which is right here. So pretty. I'm going to use a dry brush, the E58 like I said, and I'm just going to put this not really on the inner corner, but blending it up into the shade Don't Know Her, just to lighten up the inner corner a bit and kind of give a little bit of a gradient eye. I think that looks so pretty. Now I'm going to take my smudge brush, the E21, if I can find her, and pop on. Actually, we're not even going to use that shade. I'm actually going to use the shade 2. This one, right there. It's really sparkly, but not quite as yellow, white, gold as the shade Welcome. I'm just going to put it on the inner corner. And I think that was a much better choice because it's more of a pink shade and not quite as bright. I am going to take my pencil brush, the E30. I'm going to go straight into Calabasas with this brush and just go to town on that lower lash line. So because I have that liner already in there, I'm just blending it right into the liner, and I'm doing the entire lash line. And I'm just going to blow it out, still getting follow even though I tapped off my brush. Just making sure to also attach it to the upper lid here just so everything blends in well together. And I'm just going to soften the line a bit with my E40, just blending it out a bit. I feel like I need like a little pop on the lower lash line on top of that shade. So I'm going to take that E58 brush with the Dog Mom shade and just put a slight little bit just in the middle of the color on the lower lash line there. You can't really tell that it's there, but just a slight little bit. Perfect. And then I think I lost my shade here. So I'm going to pop that back in the inner corner, a little under the brow bone, and ta-da! So next we are going to line the upper lash line, just a very thin line. I always say that. It always turns out to be bigger than I expected. I think I'm just going to go in with my Too Faced sketch marker. You're so Too Faced in black. And for mascara today, I had to throw out my L'Oreal Voluminous Feline because I find that, like, I've only opened it, it's been under 3 months. It dried out so quickly that I wasn't getting the kind of look that I like. So I just opened this one. I've had this for months. This is the L'Oreal Voluminous Carbon Black Mascara from the drugstore. And it is obviously carbon black, so it's the blackest shade you can get. I will put that on. And then I will be popping on some lashes. I don't know which ones yet, so I will let you know when we get back. And I think we'll also do some lipstick to match with this eyeshadow look. We will be right back. So I just actually focused on the lashes with mascara. I chose not to do eyelashes because I really like how this eyeshadow blended out. I'm actually really happy with this result. And as for lips, I wanted to do something that matched to this shade, but I don't really have a color. I've got lots of pinks, I've got lots of reds, and I have browns. So I figured the couple of shades that would actually match this look, but still be neutral, were actually this one by Too Faced, which is called Throw in Suede. It's like part of the Natural collection, and it's more of a brown shade. As well as this Infallible Le Chocolat Pro Matte Liquid Lipstick by L'Oreal. I really like this, and I don't think I've actually used this color. It's more on the mauve side, and I think this would go really well with this shade. And it smells like chocolate. I mean, ooh. I might just focus on this shade here. I'm not even going to go in with a lip liner because it's a matte liquid lip and it just goes on really precise anyway. I think this shade looks good. It's still neutral without being like white neutral. And that's generally what I would kind of pair a look like an eyeshadow look like this with. I think that's the finished look. Now I normally spray my face with a setting spray before my lashes, but I didn't. So I think what we'll do is use the Milani Make It Last. Just do a quick spray and then we will be all done. That smells like citrus. It smells so good. Alright you guys, so this is the completed makeup look. What do you think? And you know what? It's so funny. I'll probably mention this in the comments, but at the beginning of this video, I was like, this is still a summer look, and it totally ended up being more kind of a fall look, actually. This is a kind of a color I would get with the Naked Cherry palette by Urban Decay. So anyway, let me know your thoughts. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below. Hit the like button. And also hit the bell button to be notified every time I upload a new video. So until next time, you guys, have a wonderful day. We will talk to you very soon. Bye now.